welcome to today's class. For today, there are no props required to flow, but you're always welcome to use whatever you'd like in your practice space. So whenever you have your space to practice, let's go ahead and meet in a seated position on our shins. So if coming into this space is a little intense for you, that's where you can always sneak in a block to give yourself a little bit more support. Otherwise, go ahead and find hips to heels. Find a nice tall spine. Maybe rubbing the palms of the hands on your thighs before settling into a nice comfortable space. And go ahead and soften the eyes to a close. We're just going to be here for a few moments to allow your mind, your body to arrive onto your mat. So feel free to shimmy shake, settle into your space. If you are sitting hips to heels, finding a nice little lift through the belly, through the spine. Gently pressing through the shins, the top of the feet, to kind of find that little boost in your seated space. Three more steady breaths here at your own natural pace. Filling all the way up and exhaling all the way through, releasing all that stale, unnecessary air, energy lingering in the body. Try to create a clear, clean slate for yourself. Go ahead and bring hands to heart center. Slight bow of the head. Set an intention for you and your practice here today. A little moment of gratitude before we find some nice steady flow, moving our body. Giving our body a little extra love today. So whatever that intention may be, go ahead and set it now and carry it through your practice. Go ahead and blink the eyes open. And then bring the hands to the mat. Untuck the toes. And bring your knees a little bit wider than hips width distance. Keeping those toes tucked. Hands can be slightly out in front of the shoulders, and we're just going to rock our weight back into our hips, maybe finding a low curve within the low back, and then coming out of it. And then just shifting our weight forward and back here in this space, maybe letting the hips fall towards the earth, but doesn't have to. Work your way into a space that feels good. Finding a nice subtle rounding within the low back, stretching to the backs of the hips, into the soles of the feet. Then again, maybe dropping the hips forward, but it doesn't need to happen. And as you work your way into this space a little bit more and more, maybe you're reaching the hands out in front of you a little bit further, stretching through the side bodies. But still trying to find that curve within the low back, stretching within the back of the hips. Maybe finding a little bit more length with every round. Lingering as you need. Maybe as you sit your hips to your heels, you're putting a little bit of pressure through the palms of the hands to make that connection hips to heels happen. It's just a little nudge, a little encouragement. 2 more rounds. Yeah, moving in and out of the space as much as is calling for you. when you come back up, go ahead and bring hands underneath the shoulders. Bring your knees parallel to one another. Untuck the toes. Sit the hips back to heels. Walk the hands out, find a child's pose. Walking those hands out nice and long. And finding a slightly more narrow child's pose here. In most, if not all of my classes, I usually encourage a little bit wider stance just to give your hips some space to fall heavy, the belly to fall heavy. But I want you to feel supported here in this space. Maybe there's a sensation of a slightly more closed off shape as the belly rests on top of the thighs. Finding a nice curve within the back body as you reach the fingertips towards the top of the mat. Find your breath. Using those inhales to lengthen through the side bodies to create space below the armpits, within the back of the rib cage. And feel that length happening all the way to the low back, to the back of the hips. We're going to take 2 cleansing breaths here. So on your next inhale, seal the lips, deep inhale. Pull all that fresh air in, pause at the top. Open the mouth, exhale. Feel the body settle heavier onto the thighs. Seal the lips, deep inhale. Pausing at the top, and then opening the mouth, exhale. Clear it all the way out. And then go ahead and pull yourself back into that tabletop position, bringing your shoulders over top the wrists, hips over top the knees. And then go ahead and extend that right leg out towards the right side of your mat. So your 3 points of contact, your hands, your left shin, are all in that tabletop position, but that right leg is coming out to the side here. And feel free to tuck the back toes or keep the top of the foot onto the earth, but go ahead and just shift your weight forward and back here. Now in this space, you should feel a deeper sensation within the inner lining of the right thigh. So try to stay grounded within the outer blade of the right foot, grounding down through that big toe. And in this space, as you shift forward and back, just play with the position of your pelvis. Maybe staying a little bit more neutral, maybe you feel that sensation just fine in that space, or maybe lifting the sit bones up towards the sky ever so slightly as you sit those hips back. Play in a space that feels good. And whenever you find that space where that sensation is nice and steady, feels like a nice good stretch here, go ahead and extend those arms out in front of you. Maybe finding a little puppy pose with that right leg extended out wide. Keeping the integrity within the sole of that right foot, hips lifted towards the sky. Chest falls heavy. And go ahead and slowly walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. And then go ahead and slide that right heel in towards you. So it's facing the mat, facing the rest of your body. Those toes are still facing away from you. And that knee is going to bend. So you can either have your hands on the mat or you can bring your hands up to the hips, the thigh. And you're going to now you're going to shift your weight left to right. So as you shift into the depth of that right knee, you're going to feel a greater sensation within the inner lining of both thighs. Opening the pelvis, opening the hips. And feel free to make adjustments within the right foot as you need to allow this movement, this weight shift to feel comfortable. But wherever you choose to move into, You're tracking that right knee over top that second toe to the best of your ability. So you're keeping that hip nice and open. So whether your foot is turned fully away from you, so it's creating a 90-degree angle with your mat, or if it's creating more of a 45-degree angle with your mat, I just want to make sure that we're keeping the integrity of that space. One more little movement and linger at the end here. Linger into your space, allow it to feel good. Again, hands can be down onto the earth, or your torso can be lifted, but we're still finding a nice tall spine wherever we are. If you were lifted, go ahead and bring your hands back down to the earth like you were in tabletop position, and then go ahead and bring the right foot outside the right hand. With that back knee still anchored onto the earth, fingertips onto the earth inside that right foot, peel the chest and heart forward, finding that low runner's lunge, that lizard lunge. On the exhale, go ahead and set the hips back, straighten-ish through that right leg, toes lifted towards the sky, coming into Ardha Hanuman. And feel free to work your way in and out of this space. Again, that right knee does not have to go to a full straightened position. Just focusing on keeping those hips equal with one another, reaching back towards the earth, or back towards the back edge of the mat. Maybe low enough to reach towards the earth, but keeping that spine nice and long. And then from here, feel free to come out of this space just enough to kickstand that left leg back and underneath you. We're going to come towards the back of the mat, so that sole of the right foot's going to plant. Those right toes are going to face the left edge of the mat. Left hand is going to plant at the back edge of the mat as we come into fallen gate pose or a modified side plank. Chest and heart is open towards the left side of the room. Reaching those the right fingertips nice and long up and overhead. Anchoring down through the sole of the foot once more. Puffing up that right rib cage. Just opening up and out of that right hip. Using the strength of your right side body, go ahead and prop off of that left hand. Now coming into gate pose. Left arm reaches up and overhead towards the top of the mat. Opening up now through that left rib cage. And then keep that reach of the left arm as you start to spin the chest down towards the mat, reaching the fingertips towards those right toe tips. Stretching more so through that back side of the left rib cage, the side body. Maybe sending the hips back a little bit as you try to maximize that length here. And then go ahead and walk the hands forward as you spin those right toes back to the top of the mat. Left foot comes back to neutral. Right shin meets the left. Come into that tabletop position and just pop yourself up into a downward facing dog. Just finding a little bit of symmetry here in this space and notice the difference left to right. Just for a breath or so. Then go ahead and drop the knees. Switching on to the other side. So hands come underneath the shoulders. We're going to go ahead and extend that left leg long out towards the outside edge of the mat and start to just shift the weight forward and back. Toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever provides you with the stability you need to move through this space with control, with ease. Grounding down through the outer blade of that left foot and through that left big toe. And playing with the position of the hips. And see how that changes the sensation as you rock the hips back towards that right heel. Linger wherever it feels good. Keep trying to working into a space where you're able to maximize the length of that inner thigh. So drawing that left hip point down towards the earth, trying to keep those hips nice and square, and see how that may change ever so subtly the sensation that you're feeling with these movements. And then when the hips come to a lifted space, go ahead and extend those arms out in front of you. Reach towards the top of the mat as the chest falls heavy. The hips lift high. Keeping the integrity of the sole of the left foot. Keeping those sit bones lifted towards the sky. And then go ahead and walk the hands back in. As those hands come underneath the shoulders, go ahead and click that left heel in. And feel free to bring that foot in a little bit closer towards your body if that feels good. And then we're going to start to shift the weight left to right. Fingertips can stay on the mat, or you can find a more lifted space supporting yourself on your left thigh. And feel free to use that connection of the left arm to the left thigh to keep that knee nice and open. Again, tracking over that big toe, that second toe. Opening now through both hips, both the right inner thigh, the left inner thigh. And linger where it feels good. And just creating space, finding some opening in a more supportive space. Our base of support is a little bit more broad than if that back leg was extended. And pause in a space that feels good for your last breath or so. And then go ahead and bring the shoulder over top the wrists. Go ahead and bring that left foot outside the left hand, fingertips to the earth. Maybe walk that knee back a little bit more depending on how much space you feel like you have in the hips. And pull the chest and heart up and forward, finding that low lizard lunge. Drawing that left hip down towards the mat. Lifting through the low belly. Keeping that left knee hugged in. And then from here, go ahead and exhale, send the hips back in space, Ardha Hanuman. Half splits pose. Slight dig of the left heel in toward the mat to find a little bit more length as you reach those sit bones towards the back edge. As you start to come out of this space, you're going to kickstand the right shin underneath you. The left toes are going to face the right side of the room. The right hand's going to come to the back of the mat, and you're going to open, straighten through that left leg, open the body up. Again, that fallen gate pose, that modified side plank. With the bottom leg lifted, however you see it, in your mind's eye. Reaching that left arm up and overhead, bumping that left ribcage towards the sky. Finding that length all the way through the outer edge of that left leg as you ground down through this pinky edge side of that foot. Open, come out of that left hip. Strength of the torso, using your base of support to help pop you off that right hand. Coming into gate pose as you reach that right arm up and overhead, bumping the rib cage over towards the back of the mat. Still lifting from the hips, keeping them stacked underneath your torso, underneath your shoulders. Keeping that reach of the right hand, you start to turn the chest down towards the mat, reaching those fingertips just beyond the left toe tips, maybe bumping the left hips or the hips back in space as you stretch through the right side body. Keep drawing that pinky edge of the foot down towards the earth. Keep yourself grounded. Start to bend into that left knee, bring the toes towards the top of the mat. Right foot comes back to neutral. Left foot meets the right. Coming into that tabletop position, toes tucked. Lift those hips, downward facing dog. And now maybe this round, in a position of symmetry, you're finding a little bit more symmetry now that we worked through both spaces, both sides. And feel free to explore whatever little movements your body might still need. Bumping the hips left to right, drawing one heel at a time down towards the earth. Bending the knees maybe to hover and then straightening all the way out, finding length within the back line of the body. Two more breaths, and in that time, finding your center, finding a strong, engaged, and lengthened downward facing dog. On your next inhale, the right leg lifts high up and towards the sky. Soft bend in the left knee as you drive that right knee towards the right collarbone, bringing the right foot inside the hands. Drop the back knee. Lift the body up. Warrior two. And feel free to straighten through that right leg before bending in and finding your depth. So feel free to do that a few times. As you find your way into your warrior two. And on the next breath, go ahead and settle into that space. Finding your depth, letting those hips englow. Your knee is tracking over that second toe, grounded through the back foot. All things that we've been focusing on, working towards. Now we're building a little bit more strength in this space. Find your breath. Torso spins towards the left side of the room. Open those arms, reach those fingertips. Make yourself nice and strong, nice and open. And then keeping the bend in that right leg. Start to tilt the torso down towards the earth as the right hand comes inside that right thigh. Left arm reaches up towards the sky. Keeping those hips pressing forward out in front of you, strong and open within the lower body. Use the strength of your torso, like we did in gate pose, transitioning back to front. Lift your upper body up, keeping that lower body nice and strong. Pause here. Straighten through that front leg, come out of it, give yourself a little break. Reverse your triangle. Reach those left arms, those left fingertips down the back leg as you reach the right arm up and overhead. Puff up through the right rib cage. Lifted from the hips. Lift the torso back up. Arms reaching forward and back, nice and strong and proud. Bump those hips back in space as you reach the right fingertips. Forward, 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 forward. As far as you can until that right hand comes down to the earth inside that right leg, left arm up towards the sky. Spinning the torso towards the left side of the room, staying strong and lifted. Again, from the legs, using that strength to find length within the spine, lift within the torso. Now start to find a bend in that right leg. We're going to try to find our way into half moon. So whether that comes right from this position here, you're taking more weight into that right leg. So you can maybe hop that left foot in just a pinch so that it makes it more accessible to press through that right foot. Lift through that right leg, finding half moon. Now in this first space, play with wiggles and wobbles, our first little balance challenge here. Allow the imperfections. Right hand can stay grounded. Soft bend in that right knee. As you bend through that right knee, reach those left toes towards the back of the mat. Come into that left knee, bend into that left leg. As you straighten through the right leg, coming into Skandasana, back of the mat. And feel free to find a more passive space here so you can sink those hips as low as you're able. Right toes stay up towards the sky. Keep that chest nice and lifted. Use the hands as you need for support. And continuing to use your upper body as you need, you're going to come towards the top of the mat. Coming into the sole of that right foot, spin onto the back toes. Drop the back knee. Coming into that lizard lunge once more. And then go ahead and reach the fingertips out in front of you just a little bit. Nice tall spine. Go ahead and bring the hands underneath you. Plant the left hand. Open up. Right arm towards the sky, finding a twisted lizard lunge. Staying lifted through the left hand. From here, go ahead and lift the back knee. Spin onto the outer blade of the left foot, and the right foot's going to come and stack on top of the left. Coming into side plank, left arm can be up and overhead. Keeping those hips stacked on top of one another. Pressing the hips forward. Gaze can be down at the hand, out in front of you, up towards the sky. Now from here, spinning onto those bottom toes, those left toes, nice and slow. Try to bring the right shin down towards the earth. Using that right arm as you need for stability. As that right shin drops, bring the right toes towards the outer edge of the left side. Left leg tucks just behind it. Right hand plants. Sit those hips back. Coming into Gomukhasana. Shifting the weight forward and back. If you're able to bring your hips all the way down to the earth, make your way there. Reaching the hands out in front of you. Keep the spine nice and long. And the hips can still be hovering. They don't need to anchor down. Just let this feel good. Feel the stretch on the outer edges of both hips here. Maybe feeling one side more than the other. Come on out of it, come into that front shin like you're in tabletop position. Pausing here. And then press down through the front shin. Lift that left leg up and back behind you. Go ahead and square that right shin towards, or square it underneath you, sorry. Tuck those right toes. Lift your leg up and back. Three-legged dog, left leg is lifted. From this space, go ahead and bring that left knee towards the left collarbone. Tuck it in, feel that core engage. Plant the left toes between the hands or just behind. And press through that left leg as the right leg lifts up towards the sky, standing splits. Doesn't have to be your biggest moment here. Just ground down through that left sole of the foot as you reach the right foot up in space. Chest reaches down. Bend through that left leg. Right leg comes in and towards you as you press to stand. Lifting that right knee in towards the chest. Cross the right ankle over top that left thigh. Sit the hips low, coming into a standing figure four. Arms can be up and overhead, or they can be at heart center. Or they can be on that right leg, maybe encouraging a little bit more open within that right hip. Inhale, bring that left knee in toward that right knee in towards the chest, stand tall. Exhale, right foot comes down to the earth to meet the left. Inhale, reach those arms up and overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift as the fingertips come down towards the earth. Draw the chest and heart forward. Exhale, plant the hands. Forward fold. Inhale, plant those hands, step the left foot back. The right foot back, coming into downward facing dog. Breath or so here, feel the asymmetry. And we're going to work through that another round or so there was a lot happening there. But we're going to continue to find some nice slow, steady movement, just maximizing the space, the length in every position, not going to our very end, but allowing it to feel good. And just feeling how the space kind of opens itself up naturally with repetition, with the movements. On the next inhale, left leg lifts high up and towards the sky. On the exhale, draw that left knee in, to step the left foot between the hands. Drop that back heel down. Open yourself up, come into warrior two. And feel free to straighten and bend through that left knee. Finding your depth kind of like we did in the beginning of class, when we were in a more modified supported space. Now we're working our way into a space where we have to use a little bit more strength, a little bit more stability. So when you find a depth that feels comfortable, accessible, feels strong and open, linger there. Knee is tracking over the foot, hips are open, chest is open, heart is open, fingertips are reaching towards the top and the back of the mat to feel nice and open, nice and strong here in this space. Find your breath. And then keeping the integrity within the lower body, we're just tilting the torso down towards the earth. So the left fingertips reach inside that left foot, right fingertips reach towards the sky, finding that side angle. And when we come into this space, we're using the connection left arm, left leg to open the chest, the heart towards the right side of the room. And we're using the reach of that right hand to keep the length. Find your breath. Strength of the belly, energy through the fingertips to lift the torso back up. Find that warrior two, find the opening within that front knee. Settle into your space, and then straighten through that front leg. Reach the right fingertips down the back leg as the left arm reaches up towards the sky, reverse triangle. Lifting through that left rib cage, reaching towards the sky, bringing lightness in towards your shape. Energy through the hands, strength within the torso. Come back upright. Bump those hips back in space as you reach those left fingertips. Reach, 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 reach. When you've hit your max, we tilt down. Left fingertips towards the earth, right hands towards the sky. Keep the reach of the fingertips. Keep the integrity within the lower body. And then from here, we're coming into that half move. So if you're able to, from this space, bending into that left knee and dragging the back toes, feel free to go right in from here. But if you need to shorten your stance, do that. This is our first round on this side. Take weight into that left foot, strong within the sole of the foot. Lift it, strong within that back leg. Right fingertips will reach towards the sky. Energetic. Within that lifted leg, even though the left leg is doing a little bit more work here, that right leg, that strength in the outside of that hip helps bring a little bit more lightness into this space. Slowly start to bend into that left knee with control. As we bend into that left knee, we reach with our back toes. Take weight into that right leg, bend into that right knee, sit the hips back, coming into Skandasana. And for the sake of creating more space as we move, find a more passive space here. Drawing that right knee out to give ourselves a little bit more room to nestle in. Feel the length within that left leg. Dig into that left heel. Use your hands or no hands to bring yourself to the top of the mat. Spin onto the back toes. Drop the back knee. Low lizard lunge. Fingertips can start underneath your shoulders. Lifted. And then slowly start to walk the hands out in front of you. Maybe dropping into the hips a little bit lower. Still staying lifted within the chest. Back toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever provides stability for you in this space. Walk the hands back underneath you. Plant that right hand, open the chest, the heart over towards the left. Reaching through those left fingertips. Finding that twisted lizard lunge. From here, go ahead and tuck the back toes, lift that back knee. Spin onto the outer blade of that right foot. To bring the left foot over to meet the right. Side plank. Lift it. Within the side bodies, using that right hip, that right rib cage to scoop up the left side. Hips pressing forward, keeping the body nice and open. From here, lift that left leg, drawing that left knee in towards the chest, spinning onto those right toes to slowly allow that left shin to drop down towards the earth. That was a little bit of kerplunk on my end, but try to make it slow and controlled as best you can. Tuck that right knee behind the left, open the toes up towards their opposite sides, and then sit the hips back, coming into Gomukhasana. Shift the weight in and out as we've been doing, working your way into the space in a nice, slow and controlled, almost like a rhythmic way of exploring your space, your capacity on the mat today. Not going right into our deepest space, just kind of feeling our way into it. And it doesn't have to be our biggest capacity in this moment. We're allowing these movements to feel good, to feel opening. And that if that is short of your max, which it likely is, let it be that. Linger, bring those hips close towards the earth, doesn't have to touch. Just sink into a place that feels good. Keep those fingertips long out in front of you. Find that fold, that hinge point, but still keep a lift to the chest. Allow the hips to be the focal point here. Come back up onto the shins. Drawing down through that top shin, hands planted. Drawing through that front shin, lift the back leg up and back behind you. Now bring that left leg parallel to the long edges of the mat. Tuck those toes, lift the hips up and back, three-legged dog, right leg is lifted. You're in a shorter down dog here. Pressing strong through that upper body, lifted and strong through that back leg. Bend in the left knee, draw that right knee in towards the collarbone. As you step the right toes between the hands or just behind them. Press through the sole of that right foot, lift the left leg, standing splits. Fingertips can be down to the earth. Again, not our biggest expression here, just kind of finding a different avenue of balance. Soft bend in that right knee. As you tuck that left knee in towards you, press through that right foot, bring the left knee up and in towards the chest as you come to standing. Pause here. Keep your strength through that right leg, nice and tall and strong. Cross the left ankle over top that right shin. Sit your hips low, coming into a figure four. And again, the focus can be on the hips here, so you can use the left hands to just guide that left leg open. You can keep the hands towards heart center, find a more active space if that feels good. If you really do want to bring your arms up overhead, feel free, challenge the core, challenge your stability. Press through the right foot, bring the left knee up and in towards the chest, hands to heart center. Exhale, left foot to meet the right. Inhale, up and overhead. Reach up towards the sky. Open those hips. Exhale. Forward fold. Hinge at the hips. Come on down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Head hangs heavy. Inhale, plant the hands, right foot back, left foot back, downward facing dog. Find your breath. Another round here. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, soft bend in the left knee. Drive that right knee in towards the collarbone. Feel that compression to bring the right foot to the right hand. Drop that back heel. Come on in, warrior two. Maybe you find your space right away. Strong, integrated all the way from the earth, the ground up. Keeping that right knee open, maybe sinking the hips a little bit lower. Keeping the energetic length within the upper body. Tilt through the torso, right fingertips inside the right thigh, the right leg, as the left arm reaches up towards the sky, side angle. Stay strong, stay lifted. Press strong through the lower body, energetic through the upper body. Lift yourself back up, warrior two. Straighten out of that right leg. And then reach the left fingertips back, tracing down the back leg as the right fingertips reach up towards the sky. Maybe the chest, the heart reaches up towards the ceiling, puffing up, lifting up through the heart. Come back to that starting position. Fingertips reach long. Bump those hips back in space. Reach like you're reaching for something out in front of you. You can't quite make it there. When you reach your edge, tilt down. Right hand inside the right leg. Left fingertips up towards the sky. Pressing the hips towards the left side of the room. Look down at that right foot, maybe bending into that right knee, either coming from here or taking a step in with that left foot, coming into half moon. Play with the instability. As strong as you are through that standing leg, you're still energetic within that back lifted leg. Gaze wherever. It gives you strength and stability. Still lifting, reaching with that left arm. Keep your torso nice and lifted. Start to bend back into that right knee. Reach those left toes towards the back of the mat. Bend into that left knee, sit low. Skandasana, back of the mat. Staying lifted within the chest, the torso open through that left knee. Give yourself some room to snuggle in. Hands or no hands coming, drawing yourself towards the top of the mat. Open that right foot a little bit if you need some room. Drop that knee. Drop that back knee. Hands can come out in front of you. Back toes can be tucked or untucked. And as you reach the hands out in front of you, maybe dipping the right forearm down, the left forearm down, finding a little bit more depth in your space as that right knee stays hugged in. Are you able to find a little bit more depth? Are you able to nestle yourself in a little bit more? Maybe dropping both forearms. Be wherever you're able to be while maintaining a lift of the chest, while keeping that right knee hugged in to the best of your ability. And if you came into the space, come on out. Inhale, right arm lifts up and towards the sky. Stay here. Or if you want to catch the back foot, go ahead and do so. Spinning the chest, the heart towards the right side of the room. Feel that opening within the left hip. As you draw those hips lower, you peel that right collarbone towards the back of the mat. Go ahead and release. Right hand comes down towards the earth. Tuck those back toes. Come onto the outer blade of the left foot as the right foot stacks on top. Find that side plank. Lifted within the hips. Stacked within the hips. Strong, integrated space. Draw that right knee in towards the chest. Slowly start to spin onto those left toes. As you gently drop the right shin towards the earth. Tuck the left knee back behind it. Toes are towards the outside edges of the mat. Sit those hips back, Gomukhasana. Feeling the release of those hips. And if you're able to bring those hips to the earth, stay here. Find your way into that space. You can find a nice tall seat, or you can stay folded. Let it feel good. Hands come down onto the mat, come back onto your shins. Press through the front shin, lift that back left leg. Square off that right shin, tuck those right toes. Lift up and into a three-legged dog. Nice short stance here. So almost like we're in a standing splits already. But we're just kind of making our way there. So bend that right knee. Tuck that left knee in towards the chest. Bring those left toes just behind the thumbs. Press through that left foot, lift the back leg. Standing splits. Reaching through those right toes, but keeping that right hip drawing down. Can you keep those hips square as you lift and reach? Bend through that left knee. Tuck that right knee in towards you as you press to stand. Lift all the way up. Cross the right ankle. Over top that left thigh. Sit the hips low. Find that figure four. Sit those hips low. Hands could be wherever you need them to be. Inhale, lift up, knee comes in towards the chest. Exhale, right foot plants. Inhale, those arms up overhead, open the body up. Exhale, hands come through heart center as you hinge. Inhale, halfway lift, draw those hips back as you peel the chest and heart forward. Exhale, fold. On the inhale, plant the hands, big step of the left foot back, the right foot back, downward facing dog. Take 2 breaths. Inhale, left leg lifts up high towards the sky. Exhale, left foot between the thumbs. Drop that back knee. Inhale, lift. Warrior 2. Maybe a few subtle shifts. Maybe you don't need to make those movements as big this round. Maybe you're able to find your depth a little bit sooner. Bending into that left knee, keeping the subtle draw open as you sink the hips low. Strong through that back foot. Open and proud through the upper body. Keep those reach of the fingertips nice and long. Keeping that lift, take as much weight as you can out of the lower body. Keeping those energetic fingers, tilt your way down towards the earth, find that side angle. Use that connection of the left upper and lower body to spin the chest, the heart over towards the right. Pressing those hips forward. Keep that reach, come back up, warrior 2. Come out of that left leg, straighten. Tilt the chest up towards the sky as you reach those right fingertips back. Left fingertips up towards the sky, open up. Keep the reach of the left side of the chest, puff it up towards the sky. Trying to open the heart. Reach those left fingertips up back towards the top of the mat. Find a nice long line of energy as you bump the right hips back in space. You reach those left fingertips. You're trying to reach, you're trying to reach, you're trying to reach. And then you tilt. Left fingertips towards the earth, right fingertips up towards the sky. Still trying to keep those hips nice and open.
And from here, bending into that left leg. Maybe you're able to take weight right into that half moon this round, dragging those back toes up. Take your time. Lift it strong. Using that right side to kind of lift you up and out of this space. Can you help your left side out by finding that lift, that reach? Lifting within the low belly, keeping yourself nice and strong and stable. Gaze wherever you need for support. And then bend into that left knee, reach those right toes back, 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 back. Come into that right leg. Slowly sit your weight back and down. Coming into Skandasana. Hands or no hands coming towards the top of the mat. Wiggle that left foot out as you need. Drop that back knee. Untuck or tuck the toes. Start by drawing the chest to heart forward. And then maybe walking those hands out just a little bit. Staying here. Maybe you're able to find one form, two forms, alternate. See. Are you able to find a little bit more depth? Is that available to you? Does it feel good? You might be on the cusp of that feel-good sensation, so play with it. Are we quite there yet? Maybe not, but we can feel our way into that space. If that depth is accessible to you here in class today, drop both forearms. Still keeping that chest, that heart lifted, draw it towards the top edge of the mat. Like you're trying to look over the edge, like there's something just beyond that front edge of the mat there. Not straining, but reaching and looking. Bring those hands back underneath you. Right hand stays down. Inhale, left arm peels up towards the sky. Find that twisted lizard lunge. Stay here or catch the back leg. Sit those hips. Make those hips sink a little bit lower into the space as you reach back. Really reaching that left collarbone as long as you can. Twisting through the belly. Go ahead and release that hold. Left hand comes back down. Lift the back knee. Spin onto the outer edge of that right foot. Once you come here, left foot meets the right. Side plank. Open up. Strong through that right side. Again, right side supports the left. So that right side nice and strong as you lift the left side up towards the sky. From here, draw that left knee in towards the chest. Slowly spin onto those back toes. Using that right hand to help guide you there, Nice and slow. Drop the left shin, right knee tucks behind the left. Sit those hips back. Gomukhasana. And again, if shifting your weight feels good, if you want to make your way nice and slow into that space, go ahead. If you feel like you're there, you're ready to arrive, be there as well. Drop those hips. Maybe allow the chest, the heart to rest on the left thigh. Or if you want to find a taller space, make your way there. Rock forward, come back onto the hands, the shins. Press down through the front shin. Extend that right leg back behind you. Go ahead and square off that left foot. Tuck those left toes. Lift that right leg up and back. Shorten three-legged downward dog. Finding a nice strong press through the heels of the hands. Press through the sole of the left foot. Bend the left knee. Draw that right knee in. Step the right toes forward. Lift up. Left leg lifts, standing splits. Lift up nice and strong as the left heel reaches up in space. Can you bring the chest, the heart further down? Can you keep those hips square? Soft bend in the right knee. Tuck that left knee in towards you. Come to standing. Pause and lift up. And then cross the left ankle over top the right thigh. Sit low. Coming into that figure four. Come on out. Left knee in towards the chest. Exhale, left foot plants. Inhale up towards the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, plant the hands, step the right foot back, the left foot back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Roll over the toes, drop the knees. Maybe a little bit wider than hips width distance this time around. Untuck the toes, hips to heels, child's pose. Keeping the hands grounded on towards the earth so you're still keeping the length within the side body. Drop the forearms, pull the body through, coming into Sphinx pose. So once you plant the belly, bring those elbows underneath the shoulders. Palms onto the earth, just a subtle draw the chest, the heart forward. Gazes out into the horizon. And then hands stack on top of each other, elbows come out wide, drop the forehead down towards the earth. We're going to bring the left fingertips out towards the left edge of the mat. Right arm's going to extend out into a capital T. Then the left knee. Reach those left toes back behind you, coming into a prone twist here. Come back to center. Switching sides. Right fingertips down towards the earth. Extend that left leg out, that left arm, goodness, into a capital T. Bend the right knee, reach those right toes over towards the left fingertips. Left ear down towards the mat. Just let this feel good. If that right knee is too big of a movement, just drop that right leg back behind the left. Back towards center. Hands underneath the shoulders. Legs parallel to one another. Sit the hips back, child's pose. Walk the hands back towards you. Come into a kneeling position. Nice tall spine. And then go ahead and cross the ankles. Roll the hips onto the mat. And just find your way onto your backs. Roll all the way down. Nice and slow. Knees bent. And then bring the right knee in towards the chest. Give it a squeeze. Extend the left leg long. Take a pause here. Just feel the sensation. And then right knee crosses over towards the left. Stretching through the low back, the right hip. And right shoulder stays grounded here. Inhale back towards center, give it a squeeze, give that left heel a reach towards the top of the mat. And then bring the left foot in, the right foot meets the left. Go ahead and switch sides. Left knee in towards the chest.
Give it a draw, a hug nice and close toward the chest. Extend that right leg long, reach that right heel. Feel that sensation, let it feel good. And then keeping that right leg nice and long, go ahead and guide the left knee over towards the right side of the room. Anchor down through the left shoulder blade. Left arm is through a capital T. I don't know if I said left or right just there. Excuse me, but the left shoulder blade is anchored down. Back in towards center, give that left knee a squeeze. Reach the right heel. Right foot comes back down, left foot meets the right. Draw both knees in. Give your low back a little roll or two. Really tuck everything up and in towards you. Maybe chin comes in towards the chest. And then relax, open everything up. Legs come nice and wide here. Allow them to open up. Allow the feet to roll open. Adjust yourself as you need. And take up as much room as you need. This class was filled with some different transitions, maybe some challenges, moving from point A to point B. A lot of steady state flow, some longer holds. So give yourself a lot of space, a lot of freedom to just take up as much room as you need. To let all that sensation, to keep all of that openness that you created within the body. And just letting all, not only the space, but the heat that you created within your body, letting that spread nice and wide. Almost like a pancake is settling onto the pan, it's all spreading out, feeling good, kind of starting to create or take up a little bit more room at a time. Let that be you here in this space for at least another 5 to 10 more breaths. As always, thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope you enjoyed today's flow. If you do like this class, feel free to like it and subscribe to my channel for all my new classes coming out every Monday at noon. Thank you so much and have an awesome rest of your day.